to the
All he likes to say
desk.
is that I'm the AP Male Athlete of the Year, 2009 Male Athlete of the Year. Yeah, drive the 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. Nobody knew that. Rolling into my press conference, and Jimmy, do you have any opening comments? Yeah, I'm looking forward to New Hampshire this weekend. Excited. We're ran well here in the spring, qualified decent, ran up front all day long. Excited for our chances. I think these first two races are going to be really good for the 48 team, and I'm hopeful to come out and get a win, and ideally get 2 wins, and really get everybody worrying about the 48 team and doing our job. So we're excited and carried. No worries. I announced that I'm 2009 Male Athlete of the Year and did my opening comments. Way too much information, bro.
And 2009 Male Athlete of the Year, Associated Press, 4-time.
It is my birthday, so thank you.
I'm not there yet. Hang on a minute.
Thank you.
4-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion.
I did
he's
leave that
also
out earlier.
celebrating his birthday today. And I apologize for being late. It'll never happen again with you.
No worries.
Okay, go ahead, Jimmy.
We're to questions.
All right,
now.
who's got questions? Right here.
You made pretty clear Wednesday in New York your feelings about Talladega by volunteering to just stay out of the race.
Yeah.
Beyond Talladega, is there a track that concerns you in the 10?
I felt like what I experienced last year with Texas, that you really are vulnerable anywhere you go. I know a lot of people make Martinsville up to be a wild card race, and it certainly is because of the close contact, but Martinsville, you can hit the fence, you can hit someone else in most cases and keep going. Texas, I felt like the mile and a half you would have room and you could avoid situations, and that was my belief last year, and I was caught up in something that kind of has changed my mind, and maybe it hasn't changed my mind, but it's made the reality for me that anything can happen anywhere. And I tried not to be sucked into that because last year we had so much momentum and so much going on. It just seemed like things were really going to happen for us, and then Texas was the reality check that this thing isn't over until you run every mile of every race.
Can you overthink a track though, and sort of take yourself out of the possibility of winning there by worrying about what might happen?
I really think that a driver and team needs to continue doing what they've been doing. And if you're a team that doesn't think and spend a lot of time thinking, and now you're spending all this time worrying about stuff, it'll probably hurt you. So ideally, you just got to do what you know and really what got you to this point. And for me, that's not thinking. I'm not good at thinking. Reacting is much easier for me.
Kenny Bruce, Chuck Howard, Jay Hart.
Kenny Bruce, SingDaily.com. Jimmy, everybody talks about how important it is to get off to a strong start in the chase. Does the fact that we come here and then you go to Dover, does that favor any teams, do you feel like?
Well, first of all, we all think that a fast start is needed to win the chase. In 06, wasn't the case. So we all say that, but until we get to race 6 or 7, I guess the strategy of what it really takes isn't going to be clear yet. But yes, we are all hopeful to get off to a good start here. And for our team, and the fact that we've been very consistent in running the top 5s here the last few times, and then Dover has been such a good track for us, it gets us really excited as the Lowe's team that we can hopefully run where we should and run up front and collect a lot of points, lead some laps, and get off to a fast start in the chase. So we're hopeful for that, but if it doesn't happen, we'll spin it in a way that says, in 06 you didn't need to, and there's still hope, and there's still 9 races, and it probably drives all of you crazy, the positions we take week after week, but we've got to give ourselves hope somehow.
Chuck Howard, Jay Hart, Nate Ryan.
Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. Jimmy, kind of a follow-up to Kenny's question. You mentioned you're very confident here, confident heading to Dover. Why the confidence at Dover? Because I would think Dover's a track that could jump up and bite you as well.
For me, it's really just the history that I have at these racetracks. Dover was my first big track I ran in ASA, and sat on the pole, led a bunch of laps, and had a puncture with the tire and took me out of it. Nationwide loved it. Cup career have loved it and won a lot there. So it is a place, though, if something goes wrong and you're outside of the spin I had in qualifying, you're going to hit something. A few years back I spun like a top down the front stretch and somehow didn't hit anything. But it'll eat you up. But I still, I guess maybe coming back to a question we had to start, I'm going with what I know and going to continue to drive the car as I always have. And Dover's a track that I just love driving. And I'm looking forward to it and going to go in there with that mindset and try to put the fear out of my mind and go for a win.
Jay Hart, Nate Ryan, Steve Richards.
Jay Hart, Yahoo Sports. Jimmie, 2 questions. First, it seems that in the past your bread and butter has been the intermediate tracks. This year it seems that the short tracks have been your strength. What are your thoughts about the intermediate track and your intermediate track program going into the chase? And then the second question would be, when you hear people say we need to Jimmie-proof the chase, what are your thoughts on that?
I guess I take a little pride in it, because it means we've been doing our jobs. But it's such a fragile environment. Living it myself, I know we've had 4 awesome years, but man, anything could have happened at any time from the way I see it. It is very difficult to operate at this high level and in a sport that's so competitive with so many superstars that are out there. So I take a little pride in that comment, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this is a tough road to hoe. But what was the first part? The intermediate
your intermediate track program. How do you feel about it going into the chase? And is it as good this season as it has been in the past, I guess?
No, I think I made these comments a few months ago when we were getting into the summer that the mile and a halves were a little tough for us. It seems like we've been able to qualify well. Then as the race goes on, we just couldn't adjust the car as we needed to. We led a lot of laps at Chicago. There's some other tracks where we'd start well, and then Fade Michigan, we started up front and then just really couldn't get the car tuned in right as the race went on. So we see some tracks where we ran well but had a spin at Chicago, to use that as an example, and I felt like we would have finished well there. And then we look at Michigan and say, we didn't run like we should have, and that does worry me, that a few of those tracks, including Indy, start up front and just a slow fade to the back. What makes me feel good about all that going into the chase is how we ran in Atlanta. We went back to the 48 style stuff, what we know, and had a car that maybe wasn't the fastest all night long, but a car that we could adjust on and improve. And at the end of the race, had a shot to win. So if we didn't have Atlanta, I would be a little bit more concerned, but Atlanta gave us a lot of direction, and I think we'll be competitive on the mile and a half. So I'm not sure if we're as strong as we've been there in the past on those style of tracks, but we do have some time yet to kind of sort things out.
We'll go Nate Ryan, Steve Richards, and Rich.
Nate Ryan, USA. Jimmie, you've got the car that you won here with in June. Jeff Burton was just in here and was saying that if he had brought the same car back, he wouldn't feel as comfortable. He's got a new car, and I guess all the Childress guys have new chassis, and then several of the Chase guys do. Is there more comfort for you, though, in having a car that you won with before, or do you kind of look at those guys and wonder, well, maybe we should be trying to keep up and roll out something new?
It just depends on your team and what's going on that year. Through the summer and some of these races that we've struggled at, we've been trying new stuff, from different style clips on cars to setups. And some days, sometimes you think that you need to keep moving forward to keep up with guys, and we go down that road and it doesn't pay out for us. So we've actually backtracked a little bit and have gone back to stuff more like the start of the year, early spring, that really works for us. So you never know. I mean, you have to stay looking forward, and the stuff that we were working on through the summer, we haven't put it away. We just need to figure out another piece or two to put with it. So our minds are always thinking forward, but at times you can get ahead of yourself in some respects. The Childress guys have had a lot of momentum here lately. They've been bringing great cars to the track all year, and there are times, and they might be the example, that when you keep debuting new stuff and you have the right direction, you can bring better equipment to the track each time. Right now, we're not really in that position. We have a lot that we want to bring, but we need to sort it out a little bit more.